Hello, everyone. Welcome to CETL's workshop on custom GPT. This is the Beyond the Basics workshop. We are excited to share this time with you to explore possible ways AI can be integrated into your classroom via custom GPTs. We got interested in custom GPTs as a workaround for some of the safety issues, ethical problems, and potential learning loss that regular AI use can lead to when students use it in unauthorized or uncritical ways. We are particularly interested in custom GPTs because they can be designed by instructors so they don't write or provide answers for students or lead students to prolonged engagement that is not necessarily good for learning, mental health, and well-being. Today, we are showcasing colleagues who are exploring ways to use custom GPTs to engage students in a scaffolded process of learning tailored to individual classroom goals and content. Our panelists today will introduce themselves. I will just say that all but two of our presenters are using our enterprise ChatGPT platform for this work. Dr. Zhuwei Chen and Zhaoshuo Jiang from School of Engineering and Dr. Verma from Lam Family College of Business are using tools they've created themselves for our students. All of our panelists are doing exciting and innovative work, and we are very excited to hear from them. Each of our panelists will present their use of their customized tool for about 5 minutes. Dr. Jennifer Trainer will help us keep time. And during the panelists' presentations, we invite you to type your questions into a Google Doc. Maybe Genevieve can help place the Google Doc in the chat. This will help the panelists address your questions in their breakout rooms or on the document. You will also receive a copy of this document after the workshop so you can see what other questions came up. After the brief presentations, we will open breakout rooms with each panelist. You can choose to go to a panelist and chat with them for further discussion and learning, or even move around different breakout rooms. So the order in which we'll go is Dr. Brian Beatty, Dr. Chen, Amy Latham, Aviva, Sinervo, Samir Verma, Zhuwei, and Zhaoshuo Jiang. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Brian Beatty to start us off.
Okay, thank you, Anusha, and thank you for inviting all of us really to this event, for sponsoring it. I'm going to keep my time here. I'm going to share a couple of slides here. You should see that now. I'm in Graduate College of Education. I'm a professor. I've been here since 2003, and actually I was a grad student and actually a credential student here before. So I have a San Francisco State connection that goes back, well, I think 40 years or almost. That's a long time. Anyway, I work in instructional design and technology. I teach grad courses. I'm going to teach my first undergraduate large asynchronous only class. And so for me, engagement in learning is really powerfully critical. Most of my classes are online or hybrid, high flex, although most students are participating fully online. And I created this suite of tools for them to use really last year because I wanted to help them become more engaged when they're learning out of class, whether they're in class during the regular session or online during the regular session. Most of their time spending time with the content and the activities of the class is out of class anyway. And so they all end up kind of being learning on their own quite a bit. And so this is the suite I've kind of put together. And all of these, I believe, are in the San Francisco State environment. But I'm only going to focus on one of them today because there's not a lot of time. And this one is called Breakout for Three. And this Breakout for Three is a breakout discussion, either a supplement or kind of a replacement if someone's not part of a synchronous class session, if they're doing it as an asynchronous student in an asynchronous only course or as an option in another course. And so this gives them the opportunity to have a conversation with two personas, both played by ChatGPT, around something that is relevant for the conversation in the class. This is the kind of breakout that I do in the live sessions, whether it's in person or online. And I wanted the online students to have that ability to have that that engagement as well. And actually, the QR code that you see on the screen here, that's a live link into the San Francisco State environment for this. And so if you wanted to play around with that, you're certainly welcome to. And we can talk about this in the 5 minutes. Real briefly, since something simple that looks like this, and all I have them do is I have them paste in the prompt that we're using in the class, and then what they do is it starts talking, and actually it asks them some questions about what's going on, so that they can start having that interaction. And so this is what would basically, I'm not going to take the time to go through this now, but we can play around with this in the breakout. One thing I'll say is that we did some testing with these. I had a grad student groups do usability testing with these, and so these are some of our results we got when we tried to do this. Turns out ChatGPT, even though you can script it to do certain behaviors, it doesn't always do exactly what you think it's going to do, right? And as well, when students are playing with the tool, even if you put guardrails up kind of within the GPT, sometimes they find ways to kind of get around them if they want to, which basically, it doesn't stop them from learning. It just isn't exactly the path that I had designed for them. And so I haven't seen anyone kind of abusing this in any bad way, but I want to keep them on track as much as possible. A tool like this is not really designed to support direct learning of content, in my opinion. It's really designed to support interaction among students around the content that will lead to better learning. So it's more of an indirect support for it. It's more about process. And so it's part of the engagement process that I do in the live classes that I really felt bad about not being able to do with asynchronous learners. I felt bad about it. I don't know if they felt bad about it, but now it's part of what I expect from them if they're participating asynchronously. And in a full course, I don't know that I would do this every week, but I would do it enough on a regular basis for them to get used to it. Now, another thing we found out is that not everybody wants to use generative AI at all, right? And so when I'm doing this with students, I have to be able to give them an alternative to have some sort of interaction around the content beyond the other kinds of interaction. And so I'm still kind of figuring that out for my next semester class. They all reported that they felt a sense of agency, like they had some control over the conversation, which I thought was really good. They felt like it felt closer to the content, closer to the course through this experience. They were satisfied with the learning opportunity, generally speaking. And yet we found that there's still some interaction challenges with the GPT behavior itself. I've tried to use ChatGPT or other generative AI tools to help me troubleshoot that. And sometimes it'll suggest solutions that it actually can't do, which I think is kind of funny. But that's the nature of the technology we have today. So that's it for me. And I think we're going over to Yiwen, Dr. Chen.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Perfect.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me here to be part of this workshop panel. So let me first introduce myself. My name is Yiwen Chen, and I'm currently Assistant Professor of Marketing. In my department, I teach communication-focused courses such as social media marketing and content marketing. So across these classes, students usually work on very high-stake creative assignments, such as writing captions, planning social media campaigns, and crafting persuasive messages for brands. So the challenge I noticed is that this kind of work usually requires step-by-step coaching and very detailed feedback on drafts. So in classes of 30 or 40, it's nearly impossible to provide that individualized guidance at scale. So that's what led me to build my own custom GPT. So this is my custom GPT. It's called Message Coach Marketing Pro. So as you can see, this GPT, I said it's an AI-powered lab for guided practice in marketing communication. So the goal is to help students craft compelling marketing messages. Okay, so how does this GPT work? So this GPT works students through 3 structured steps. The first step is prompt creation. So in first step, this GPT will students need to outline the message elements. For example, the audience they are speaking to, the goal of the message, and the platform, so that the AI has a clear creative direction. So with this step, students would be able to create structured prompts. And the step 2 is evaluation and revision. After students turn in their structured prompts, the GPT will provide the draft, but purposely with a few small flaws. And then it will ask students critical questions. Those critical questions are based on our communication principles. Students will then need to evaluate the message, explain what works or doesn't work, and only then they can see the improved version of the message generated by ChatGPT. The step 3 is reflection. So students will then compare the before and after drafts and reflect on what the AI helped with and what still required their own marketing judgment. So this is the overall structure of the ChatGPT, of my custom GPT. So students can use it to create a social media post, to draft a marketing email, to draft a crisis response, or come up with product description. So it has widely applicability across different marketing communication courses. Okay, so some impact. After using this message coach for a few times, I've seen some real benefits. First of all, for students, it really promotes active learning. So instead of using ChatGPT as a very passive answer machine, with this custom GPT, students are able to co-create message with ChatGPT. They need to come up with their own creative brief. They need to think about and criticize the output generated by ChatGPT, and also reflect on the overall collaboration in terms of working with AI. And also it helps students build essential AI literacy alongside creative confidence and strategic thinking. And of course, for instructors, it really frees up our time to focus on high-level feedback, strategy discussion, and reflection activities. And there are also some growth opportunities. I noticed that some students still expect instant perfect answers generated by ChatGPT. And as instructors, I need to constantly remind them that this is a learning process, and you can't really treat it as an answer machine. And also, I believe this type of discipline-based GPT is especially useful for courses where highly individualized feedback and guidance are critical for student development. So my ultimate goal with this custom GPT is to transform AI from a shortcut into a scaffold, a teaching partner that helps students think like professional marketers. Okay, so that's my presentation. Thank you. And I will let Amy take it from here.
Thank you. You're all making my timekeeping job easy.
Thank you, Yiwen. I actually have experience using your custom GPT and piloted your assignment in my Business 300 business communication courses this semester. And it was a great way to just, frame the conversation around critical AI literacy, and also get students to get them some experience in critically evaluating AI output before we started with our own custom GPTs, which I did collaboratively with my students in class, which was a big experiment for me. So I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. All right, thanks for your patience, everyone. Can everyone see that? Okay. So yeah, I took a more collaborative approach to teaching critical AI literacy through building custom GPTs with students live in class. I have longer once-a-week classes in business communication, and we focus on, it's a GUAR class, so it is highly individualized in terms of feedback and guidance. It's aimed at helping students to conduct and analyze company and industry research, understand conventions of professional communication, build rhetorical awareness and persuasive presentations, and prepare for the workplace. So the AI business guru designed by Yiwen Chen was really helpful for us to just get started thinking about how we can use custom GPTs to learn how to be more AI ready in the workplace, as well as learn appropriate use and ethical use in academic contexts. So after I built a custom GPT in a writing class that only a few students admitted to using, even though several of them admitted to using just, AI generally, I was curious to see if co-creating with students could help me generate more buy-in. So that was sort of the impetus for me to get started with this approach. And I didn't want to necessarily create a custom GPT top down because I had a lot of my own ideas for how I wanted to build in guardrails that would reinforce my AI policy and make it easier for students to understand how to use AI in the ways we want them to actually enhance their learning rather than replace their thinking. So what we've been calling pilot status is really an AI in the loop approach. And when you get my slides, you can also follow that link there. And we'll talk more about that in the breakout rooms as well. So really the students are in the pilot seat, but they have AI there as a guide and as an assistant and to provide feedback. Our main goal doing this together was to limit the temptation for students to lean too much on AI, which a lot of them admitted to doing, feeling like, all right, when I'm using ChatGPT, the institution subscription, I feel like I'm just leaning on it too much as an answer machine, as Yiwen brought up earlier, to carry the rhetorical load, which consists of thinking, analyzing, and strategizing. So this was really just a great way. We started the semester with Yiwen Chen's custom GPT and assignment and just led right into this class where we built the custom GPT together. So it all really put the conversation around ethical, responsible AI use front and center for us and allowed students just to reflect on their own reasons for wanting to do this, as well as just gave me a platform for talking about why we're doing it this way in terms of my AI policy. So this process allowed us to practice iterative prompting and critically evaluate AI output. We tested the GPT, and a lot of the times we had to reiterate what it was we were programming it to do so that it would actually do it. It also allowed us to discuss how custom GPTs can support that appropriate use of AI, which helps students feel more confident using it when they're allowed to and when it's something that's open in discussion with the instructor, and when they're actually learning how to use it in the ways that we want them to, and the ways that they want to learn to use it. It helped us identify possibilities and constraints of AI in research and writing as we moved through our course projects. Helped us consider risks of relying too much on AI outputs and producing work slop, and helped us understand that AI shouldn't replace all previous tools. It's just one that can exist in the mix. So some of just real quick, the key benefits, and I'm going to skip that first one because I already talked about it in the previous slide. I talked about the second one as well. Avoids that top-down approach. So students really enjoyed this process, and it made them feel like they don't have to use it, but they can, and a lot of them actually did. And if you see with that buy-in note, I did some research. I surveyed my students and kind of broke down their responses, and it turned out that about 47% across 2 of my courses, so that's 60 students total that responded, were using the custom GPT and cited benefits to their learning. Some challenges were just negotiating with students who wanted the GPT to retrain drafting capabilities, which I didn't want it to. So we compromised with partial models and examples that it could provide for students to get a sense of, okay, well, how might I approach this assignment? And also getting that GPT to behave the way we wanted it to was challenging. But that was also a great learning experience. So challenges sometimes will lead to benefits, and that's all the time I have. Thanks so much.
And I think, who are you passing it to? I can't remember.
I am passing it to Aviva.
Great.
Thanks for the reminder.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aviva Sinervo. I'm going to share my screen, which is in the wrong spot. Where's my slides? Here we go. Hopefully everyone can see my slides. I teach in the Department of Psychology. I started at SF State in the Department of Anthropology in 2013, where I was hired to teach 2 sections of GWAR. And I taught that for many, many years, amongst other things. And I started teaching in psychology 7 years ago, and I've been teaching mainly GWAR for them too. So I teach a lot of GWAR, and I teach it in different disciplines, and I just think that context is slightly important. But I'm mostly talking about my work in psychology with you here. I also teach at CSU East Bay in human development and women's studies. So I take a pretty interdisciplinary approach to teaching writing in all my instances. And I also teach writing even if it's not a writing course. You can't get the writing instructor out of me. So I thought that was also maybe important to note. Let's see if I can advance my slides. So we were asked to talk about the goals and then and why we came to this custom GPT. Frankly, I was motivated to do it in working with Jennifer to meet the moment, right? No matter how I feel about AI, it is here. We are using it. We need to teach the students how to use it. And it felt like I could have a bit more illusion of control. I know we always think we have control and we don't, but that I could at least be purposeful about designing the AI space that my students were in rather than just see them in a space that I don't have visibility into how it's structured. So I wanted to create one GPT that would complement my pedagogy. I spent a lot of time training it on my language so that there was language consistency. I spent a lot of time talking to it around how I was scaffolding the processes in my class so that it could stop and ask students where were they at in their learning and then prompt them the same way that I would. And I also wanted to respond to student experience. So I felt like if I was creating this GPT that students were using and that I was getting student feedback about how it was working and not working, it was something that I felt like I could revise. Whereas if I was just using the general generic GPT, most of my intervention was going to be on like how they were prompting, not necessarily being able to do some back-end work about how the GPT responds to them. So I just felt that the custom GPT gave me those opportunities to continue keeping my own course goals in frame, but also be responsive to student needs. I decided early in the process that I was going to lean into brainstorming and revision as appropriate uses of the tool, and that I was going to scaffold all of my assignments around specific guidelines to how the tool could be used. So I created just the one tool for the whole semester, and I'll talk in the next slide a little bit about how I've had some learning around how maybe that is too much, and maybe I need to go to Brian's solution of having lots of small GPTs for different assignments if I really want to do more sculpting of that experience. But I decided I was just going to make this one big one that was going to be responsive across these different assignments, and that in different assignment instances, I was going to lean into brainstorming or revision and then collect student experience and information about how they were interacting with it. I was also motivated due to the stuff in the press and in research around students' mental health and the need to maintain their linguistic diversity, help them find their voice, not have their voice replaced by the genericness of what AI produces. And so I defined into the context of my custom GPT a lot of prompts around linguistic diversity, and also told the GPT, you need to also tell students that when they're looking for this perfect professional voice, there are these biases that go into that too. And so I also was trying to kind of train the GPT to be critical of itself so that as students were interacting with it, it was also helping me do the work of raising their own critical literacy skills in AI. So some of the drawbacks, I also had a hard time with student uptake and buy-in. Here you can see a screenshot of a little poll I did with them a couple of weeks ago. Are you using the tool for brainstorming or revision? Are you not using the tool? Are you using a different tool? You can see I've got 88 chats there as of last week. I have 50 students. They're on assignment 6. I should have way more chats. So I've spent a lot of time trying to get them to use the tool. Today in class, we used it collectively, and I ended up with some students not using the tool and others using it, and it did very different things, which was super interesting. I think I'm out of time, but I think everybody else has talked about a lot of these things too. So I'll stop there.
Thank you so much for staying on time and for these
And I'm
presentations, all of you.
passing it on to Samir.
There we go.
All right, thank you. Yeah, lots of great ideas here. Let me share my screen and okay, so pull up my slides. So I'm coming at this from a slightly different angle. Let me see if I can. Okay. So I'm Samir Verma, professor in information systems in the Lam Family College of Business, 26th year here at SU State. So it's been a while. In terms of teaching, I teach some very technical courses, so computer networks, cybersecurity, IT strategy. Strategy being more on the, I mean, it's also technical, but we also sort of look at the big picture, 30,000-foot view of the enterprise and so on. In terms of research, I've had several streams, but these are some of the ones that are relevant here. So all the way from my doctoral student days, diffusion and adoption of information systems and information technology has sort of been the focus. So when I come across stuff like this, I disregard the shiny objects. It's just another thing that we have to, see whether we want to adopt it or not as a technology. I've done a lot of work with architecture, infrastructure type stuff, low resource environments. So kind of looking at the end of things where computing resources, access to internet, electricity, that kind of stuff is on the lower end. And then my very first paper I wrote as a grad student was on intelligent systems, conceptually what we do now, but in terms of building something was very different. Service, I've done a whole bunch of things on campus. I built the first Wi-Fi network on campus before SF State had Wi-Fi. So it was a rogue Wi-Fi network. Then I've done a lot of work with iLearn, what used to be iLearn, and then the implementation of Drupal and so on. I've done projects on one laptop per child in different parts of the world. And I also serve on the board of directors of Wired International, which is a health information nonprofit that was created here at San Francisco State. So that's sort of the nutshell version. In terms of the goals, I'm not going to talk through all this, but I'll tell you the gist of it. Coming from a security background, cybersecurity networks background, there is a concept called zero trust. And that's where I begin. So I do not trust any of these companies. I do not trust the LLMs. I do not trust their agreements and promises, service level, what have you. So I always want to work with things where I have control over things. Right now I'm coming to you from my Linux laptop. I do not use Windows or Mac. The slides you see here, that's LibreOffice. It's not PowerPoint. So, slightly different bent to things, but that's where we're coming from. And then what we're doing is rather than, I have done custom GPT stuff in IT architecture and network engineering and systems analysis and all that. So I can show you some of the stuff in the breakout. But our goal is, how do we build stuff in-house using architecture, using front-end, back-end, and then also look at privacy, confidentiality, what happens to my data, who's keeping track of who's asking questions. My students always say, oh, I don't like to use the campus account for ChatGPT because I don't know who's looking at what I'm asking, right? So right there's an issue. So we've looked at a bunch of those things. And because I'm in information systems, we look at cloud computing, edge computing. We have a lab in the library called the Edge Lab, where we do edge computing and essentially run LLMs locally. So a lot of tech stuff there. If you're interested, definitely come to the breakout room. I'll give you more details. In terms of benefits and drawbacks, I think there are lots of pedagogical opportunities to have something that you can work with as long as it's trustworthy and reliable. That's the hard part. Definitely understand how the technology works. It's certainly not magic. Some people think it is. There's a big difference between what we call AI ML and generative AI. The technology base is the same, but the applications are entirely different. And then understanding the difference between heuristics, which is let me copy what somebody's doing, which is what these machines do, versus proper reasoning. There's a difference there. So as long as our students can understand that landscape, I think it works well for them. Drawbacks, there are pedagogical impediments, as you've seen in your classes. It encourages a copy-paste, generate type culture because it's easy. It diminishes critical thinking. That I think is the hard part. And there's always that fear of the unknown. And the more you know about how it works, the easier it gets to adopt to it. So that's sort of the brief view of things, and then come to the breakout if you want to see more. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we are turning it over. Yeah.
Going over to Zhuwei and Zhaoshuo.
Yeah. Great. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we see.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
Zhuwei, we can.
Yeah. So again, I think Sammy's presentation really gave a high level idea about how do we create our own fully customized GPT. So again, thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank you, CETL, for providing these great opportunities for us to share and learn from each other's effort in exploring the GPT or AI for the education. So in my short presentations, I will introduce our project, which is SCAPE, a student-centered collaborative AI platform for personalized engineering learning experience. So this project is collaborative with Dr. Jiang, who is a civil engineer faculties, and I think he will share more in the breakout room. And also special thank you, Jenny, for her contributions when we interview the students' experience. So a little bit of information about me. So I'm an assistant professor in the computer engineering since for 2020. I have my research lab, which is a mobile intelligent computing library, which is focused on the efficient AI computing, algorithm, computation accelerations, and a growing dimension of my research is AI education. And I was also surprised to hear from Sammy, we actually have an Edge lab because for my research recently, we also try to deploy the large models on the edge devices. So for my teaching, it's pretty range from the fundamental programming to advanced AI courses such as C programming, AI for engineering, and also my graduate class on device machine learning. So our project started with several motivations and research questions. The first one is how do students interact with the AI tutoring platform in engineering education, particularly in terms of usability, effectiveness, accessibility, and equity. That's why throughout this project, we started to talk with the students and understanding their needs and their challenges. And also, the second question is how can open source student-centered AI tutoring platform be designed to enhance the personalized learning while addressing transparency, bias, academia integrity, and faculty engagement. The next one is what impact does those AI tutoring platform has on student learning outcomes, critical thinking, engagement in engineering courses. And also finally, how can faculty effectively integrate AI-driven personalized learning tools in engineering education to support our diverse students' bodies? I think a part of the questions actually is already being answered during these wonderful workshops. So, to address those questions, we designed a fully open source educational AI platform, including front end and back end, just as Summer mentioned, that emphasize both transparency and human insights. So as shown in this diagrams, though the step one, the faculties or instructors can select course materials suited for their students, upload those materials to our platform through the instructor portal. And in the step two, our backend LLM-based AI engine will automatically learn from those materials and, for example, can generate a high quality questions grounded by these materials. The next step, the instructors can choose review those questions or response to satisfy their instruction goals. So then the students can interact with our platform. So currently we have designed several functionality like the class review and preview, practice quiz generations, step-by-step problem solvings. So the interesting is that actually we started to build this platform since last summer. I think just in the spring, as we know, so the GPT introduced a study mode that try to promote the step-by-step solvings. And finally, which our goal is or we also want to enable our platform can provide the faculty insight, for each student's knowledge gap based on the huge amount of data when students interact with the platform, allow the instructor to adapt our teaching plans in real time or weekly or even monthly. So for example, here is our student portal. So either on the left side, the students can select the materials provided by the faculties. In the middle is just a PDF viewer. On the right side, the student can start to interact with a GPT based on the materials in the system. And also, we have a faculty portal. We can analyze this, how much time the students spend on the platform. And also, we are developing the functions to analyze their knowledge gap. So finally, some key benefits. So our platform provides a real-time adaptive feedback tailored to individual learners by using course materials. And also our platform avoid giving direct answers. Instead of it provide step-by-step explanations to guide the students through the problem solving to facilitate their critical thinking. And finally, our goal is the ECHO will be an open source instructor fully controlled platform, allow the instructors to understand, adapt, and supervise how the AI interact with our students. Yep, that's the thing I want to share. I will back to Jennifer and Anishwa.
Huge, thank you. Go ahead, Anishwa.
Thank you so much for these amazing, exciting examples. And I just wanted to say that, such thoughtful ways of creating opportunities for students to not lose the critical thinking in the process of learning. At this point, I'll ask Jesus to open up breakout rooms. Please go ahead and join any of the breakout rooms.
Anoshwa and Jesus,
yeah.
Can we make one more with me in it in case anyone wants a little bit of a background that they might feel like they're missing? If you want a little bit of like fill in because you missed something earlier along the way, I'm happy to help, and then you can go into another breakout room if you wish. But if you want some,
yeah, and that's right. If you're new to custom GPTs and want a bit more background, you can join Jennifer's room. But if you are interested in learning more, join the ones that you're interested in, and of course feel free to move between breakout rooms as well. But here are some instructions for you for the breakout rooms, and we are asking you to also write down some takeaways from your interactions in the breakout rooms. So the instructions are in the chat so that it remains on your chat. And yes, Allison, that's what we are hoping, that we can capture some of the conversation that happened in each of the breakout rooms. So you have 30 minutes for this exercise. We will come back at 3:10. And then we'll do a giant share out. So don't be shy, bring back your learning, whatever you want to share, your takeaways back to the main session when we all recongregate.
okay.
Can I ask a really ignorant question? Like, this is beginner. I don't actually understand what a custom GPT even is. I don't really understand what that term means.
So I have an answer for you. It's a great question. It's a really good one. When I give this question and answer, I feel like it's back in the days when we moved from horse and wagon to cars, and people were like, where's the horse go? What is it's very new. So a custom GPT is just a walled off space in ChatGPT for us, because that's our enterprise system, but you can do it in any Gemini, Claude, but for ChatGPT, it's a walled off space in custom GPT that once you've created it, which I'll talk about in a second, will give you a link. You can keep that link private, you can share it with your students, or you can make it public to our campus, which Brian has done. His GPTs are public, but I keep mine private because I just share it with students. It's like a Google Doc in that sense. So you take the link, you share it with students, they sign in to San Francisco State, they click on your link, and they're taken to your custom GPT, which behaves as you wish it to. So when you create your custom GPT, it's very simple. because it's taken the coding out of it for you. You don't need to know how to code it. You just prompt it in the way you want it to work. The prompting is pedagogical. You need to think about your teaching and what your goals are. So what I've discovered in my own experiments is that the smaller you make it, the more focused on one thing, the better it works. So for my first year writing students, I created one for brainstorming about the reading. So I told my custom GPT, it should not write for students. It should not summarize for them. It should end interaction after 15 minutes, tell them to go do their own work, right? Get off the machine. And it should do nothing but ask them 3 questions, brainstorming questions about the reading. So my students click on the link. They say, I need help understanding Amy Tan, the reading. The custom GPT will say, do you want to find a quote? Did you have a personal response to it? I mean, it'll say things, whatever the student prompts, it's AI, right? So I don't have to tell it to do this. It just generates 3 questions only. The students can take one of those questions and continue brainstorming. They can come back with new questions, and ChatGPT will give them 3 more questions based on what they came in with. It will do nothing but ask questions. I have another one that will help them find their main idea in their rough draft. And that's all it will do. 4 sentences that summarizes their rough draft for them. It won't tell them how to fix it. It won't. And so, as many of the presenters said, sometimes it's hard to get ChatGPT to not do other things. But I have a list of prompts I can share with you that curtail the worst of it and keep it focused on just what you want them to do. And that's it.
Okay, that's helpful.
I can show you a little bit about what it looks like. Let me get to our ChatGPT.
I invited Brian back into the main room. So maybe you and Brian can.
Well, Jen, can you explain how you get it to, do you get it to time out after 15 minutes? I haven't been able to do that, but I do get it to interrupt the conversation after a certain number of interactions.
Yeah, so it has worked pretty well for me. Let me just pull up the quick start guide here and I'll show you the prompts. It's not perfect, but okay. So you have this link. You'll have it in our materials, but I'll just take you through it real quick. This is a quick start guide and it has the prompts that I've used to get it to behave and do only what I want it to do. So these are first steps of logging in and where to go, and I can show you that too. It's so easy. If I can do it, anyone can do it. These are the ethical prompt, I call them ethical prompt domains. And so you can adapt these, but I worry a lot about students being pulled in and given mental health advice that I don't think is good for them. And so this is one of my prompts. If the student indicates any mental health distress, if they say they're stressed or they're tired and they're feeling kind of ill or they don't like school or the poem made them sad or the reading made them sad, it does not engage them. It sends them straight to our real counseling center or to me. I have it end engagement after 20 minutes and it mostly will, so that they're not being pulled into this world. I have academic integrity, do not write, do not rewrite, complete their homework, do not offer additional help at the end of each interaction, because ChatGPT is it will say, would you like me to make slides? Would you like me to? I tell it not to do that. So it ends by saying, good luck, go back and do your own work. Remind the students to use campus resources. Do not generate any reflections or reading responses or discussion posts. Do not impersonate the student. Metacognition, so encourage students to explain the assignment and their questions. So before ChatGPT starts offering help, you can tell it to say, could you tell me about the assignment? Could you tell me what your goals are? Prioritize student learning over sustained engagement. That's all the same. End interaction by encouraging students to do their own work. Let's see. This, is pro forma. I tell it to keep your responses commensurate to the students. So if the student just puts in a few words, ChatGPT should respond with a short answer, because it tends to swamp the students with a lot, and my students are not ready for that, especially at the first year. So it should, to encourage them to go back to the teacher, go back to class and ask their questions. In terms of getting it to do all of this, this is ChatGPT. I am logged in over here. Oh boy, Hold on. Oh, it's over here. Never mind. It's blocked by Zoom. I got to move you all. Huh. What happened to my create a ChatGPT thing?
Is it under Explore or?
It might be under Explore. There it is. Thank you. So
Okay.
usually you hit that, I guess. Usually it's just right here, but you hit create. And I go over to create. You can do configure too. It's a little more technical, but hi, I'll help you. It's the usual ChatGPT helpfulness. And down here is your place where you put in those ethical prompts and anything else you want it to do. And you basically just, I think it's called vibe coding, but you basically prompt engineering it toward what you want. So the one that I made, this is the find my message one. This is yeah, so this is the main one I use where it will only ask questions. And let's see, even here, this is right. This is what it looks like when students open it up. And so I'm scared to test it because it never always, it does a lot of weird things. Here you go. See, it's supposed to just do that.
So it's like your alter ego?
I think you could say that. It's personalized tutoring, essentially. I did not start doing this because I think that my students need a personalized AI tutor. I started doing it because I wanted to give them an AI tool that was not toxic and would not pull them into a mental health spiral or do their work for them. So this is a way to say, you can use AI to help you, but use this link because it won't lead you into academic integrity violations or give you a lot of weird mental health advice.
Do you have like 90% confidence that it won't?
I don't. And so like Amy said, co-creating with students is really important. So I've been really transparent with my students that I'm learning, and this is one thing I'm trying out to see if it will help them. And so far, my first year students have not been really eager to use it, mostly because I've moved a lot of the writing into class and we're doing a lot of the brainstorming and work in class. So they don't feel a need to use it. I don't think they feel a lot of pressure in terms of their grades and time and that kind of thing. But I am really transparent with them, and I am asking, Aviva's doing this also, I'm asking them to record, like to cut and paste all their interactions with it so I can see if it goes wrong. But so far it has been relatively stable. I mean, I've had a few moments where I've been like, oh no, it shouldn't do that. I'm sure that a student could jailbreak it if they tried, but my students are not, and I think most of our students are not interested in breaking the rules. They really just want to know how to use the tool, in a way that is not cheating and is not going to harm them.
Jennifer, could we see your screen again where you got that sample GPT of yours with deep in my analysis?
Yeah. So this is, this is after I prompted it. I hit deep in my analysis and it gave me 3 questions. Once you've thought about those, I can help you go even deeper. So
those 3 questions, it's the GPTs, it's not yours.
Correct. I did at one point give it a 1-page handout of metacognitive questions that I sometimes use with students, but I don't think it needs that. I think it, if you tell it to do what you want it to do, it mostly will. But so if, let's see, deep in my reading, I like the quote where she said, impeccable, broken English. This is from Amy Tan. I related to that. There we go.
Is it, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is it analyzing a document you uploaded or are you chatting merely?
No, it's so impeccable broken English is a quote from the text that I have my students read. This is the typical first-year student move to provide no context at all and just be like, I like this quote and assume that everybody knows what they're talking about. But the parameters that I've built onto this custom GPT, it won't do anything with the reading. It's only going to ask them questions to deepen their thinking because I told it to. Only ask questions to deepen the students' thinking, only ask 3 questions at a time. And so here are the questions it came up with. These are good questions. I mean, they're really not terrible. I would probably, if I was sitting with a student, these are probably the kinds of questions I would be asking to get them to write about why they like that quote and what they think it means and how it relates to the text. So the Find My Message one was a little wonkier, and it's harder to demonstrate because you have to plug in a draft. That was also interesting. I did that one in class with students, and I took a student's draft and dropped it in, and it gave a little paragraph saying, in this essay, here are your 3 main ideas, or here's your big idea. And we looked at it as a class, and my student said, it doesn't sound like me. It sounds like a robot. That's not how I write. Fair enough, but you know, it's first year. Yeah, go ahead. I see a question, Lone.
Hi, I was wondering, in the particular application you're using, how do you handle students who encounter hallucinations? Do they feel like deceived? Do they lose trust in you or in it? Or I can see an issue where, like, if my students challenge something I'm saying, I teach Asian Americans in government, I say something about politics. For example, last year I said, I think Trump has some authoritarian tendencies and may want to be a dictator. My students said, well, no, why do you think that, Professor Lei? He was elected and he doesn't want to be a dictator. He wants to be president and lead the country democratically. I said, okay, that's a good question. We're on different levels of information. I need to not make this presumption that you're watching the news. So I found clips of him saying, I'll only be dictator for a while, or I'll be dictator for this number of days, or I'm a king, or other things like that. And then I played them for them. And I said, well, it's not my assumption. It's what he wants to say. But I think that if I had made that statement and had nothing to support it, then they would have lost trust in me or in our technology or our classroom. So how do you handle that?
It's a really good question. My first year students this semester are extremely skeptical that this tool is useful. They've been taught in high school that it hallucinates, it's biased, it's untrustworthy. They have a Wikipedia understanding of it. You know how everyone says Wikipedia can't be trusted, and when actually you can trust Wikipedia if you have a critical lens and know what you're doing. So I think it's a really important point. I mean, this tool does hallucinate. It is biased. It can be very racist. It is not the most trustworthy source of information. So I think that's what we have to show them and teach them. The custom tools also, like the ones I'm using, will not hallucinate because it can only ask 3 questions about the student's thinking. So it can also, the Find My Message, it would be interesting if the message that ChatGPT identifies in the student's draft is wrong. And that's one of the things I'm trying to get students to really look at. Like, why did it say this is your message? Do you agree with that? Is that what's actually in your text? Was that your intention? But these are kind of rhetorical questions in general in a writing class. So I think it works. But I do think we have to your point, a huge sort of trust gap right now in all of our information systems, not just AI. AI isn't trustworthy. Social media is not trustworthy. We're all in our information bubbles, and students need our help in figuring out what to trust and how to trust it, that process. And it's going to be a lot. I think partnering with the library is going to help a little bit. They have a lot of resources on critical information literacy, but it's more important than ever. I feel like my students just give up. You can't trust anything, which isn't good either.
What you're saying is so good, though. It's cluing me into how to teach them to surmount skepticism, to find the utility in the disinformation, to continue to update. So was it yesterday President Trump said, I'm not running for a 3rd term. So then I know my students are going to say, well, that means it's democracy. And that's fine. I want them to say that. I want to be open-minded. And then I want to say, well, what information do you have to bring to the table to evaluate that? So in this environment of everybody says everything, chat is one voice. And I think of it like a teenager. Sometimes it lies and sometimes it tells the truth. So skepticism, but teaching them how to follow up on sources, I think, is key, right? Like if chat says this, follow up on the source and see if it's real and it hallucinates. What other strategies in that environment? But maybe that we can follow up on that as an aside if it's not useful to other people. I just think it's a major barrier to us. But I love what you have done. And I'm a newbie, so.
These are such good questions. I'm going to put a link in the chat to a short article on information literacy by Mike Caulfield, who's an information literacy specialist, knows a lot, he's great to follow on social media. But it's an article on how we define truth facts, and it's not intuitive. It's not something that's verified capital T truth. It's more about people who maybe in the know, have the experience to know, that's generally agreed upon, and don't have vested interests in manipulation. And so it's, there's a whole process. None of those things are easy. This is not an easy thing. There is no easy answer to information literacy. But I find this reading, I excerpt some of it sometimes in my first year classes because it's useful for students to see that, yes, knowledge changes and information is unstable to some extent, but experts can come to some agreements, like on vaccines. We may change as we learn more, things come to light. That's part of the process. Doesn't mean that what we know now is wrong. That's the complexity that we have to get them to. How are folks doing? Other questions, things that are on your mind from the presentations, or anything you'd like to know about custom GPTs that if you're just getting started?
You're going to share the slides that you, yes, because that's extremely helpful.
Yeah.
I've been exploring ChatGPT, but just the open version of it in class with students. So we're like prompting it in real time and discussing what we get, but this is a whole different way to do it. So
it has been a game changer for me, honestly, when I figured out that I could do this, because for me in first year, they are swamped with too much information. They cannot process, they can't read these outputs, they can't learn that way. And then it's always offering them a next step that is so easy, shortcuts, to their learning. So this really helped me think about how I can start to show them how to use it ethically. First, by giving them an ethical tool, and eventually showing them how they can prompt it themselves in ways that will lead to better outputs. Because I think that ultimately, we want them to be able to go out and use ChatGPT or whatever tool without needing us to create a custom for them, but that's post-graduation. For now, they're still students. They need our guidance, and they need these tools to be scaffolded and developmentally appropriate and safe.
Jennifer?
There are a couple of questions in the chat too.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
And Anita was one of them.
Oh, yeah. In relation to what I type into the chat box, I'm trying to create a custom GPT for my writing intensive graduate class in public administration. It's very case analytic. I want them to not skip the reading part.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to plug in, the case study and say, who are the decision makers? What are the, public administration issues? And then they've skipped the reading part.
I mean, you could make a custom GPT that just asks them questions about their opinions and ideas from the reading, so that, the custom GPT won't give them a summary of the reading. It will just ask them questions about it, and you can just tell it, do not summarize the reading, ask questions.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, of course, there's nothing
Yeah.
preventing them from
There's
using
not.
another GPT, right? That summarizes the document.
One of the real drawbacks is, of course, they can just go and do whatever they want in the rest of the world. There's no way to keep them just in your world. But in first year writing, I don't know how good this is, but I've moved a lot of stuff. I've kind of flipped the classroom. So I've moved all the crucial things back into class time. So if I want to know for sure that they did the reading, I read with them in class. If I want to know for sure that they drafted this on their own, I have them draft it in community in class. And then if they use a tool later to understand a part of the reading or to refresh their memory of the reading, I know they got it because they were in class. But, there are drawbacks to that too. I sometimes feel like homework is just over. I can't give any busy work homework because they have tools to do it for them. So I'm really focused on just a few key learning goals, and I'm really doubling down on them in class so that I can make sure that students are getting them. I do think in upper division, you can do more with them than I do. You can really show them how the tool might support their reading. Sometimes getting a summary before you start reading is useful. It helps you scaffold, but you need to make sure that you show them that reading it is also useful because you get deeper ideas. You want to go beyond summary. Ernie, I just did a thing in a Guar brown bag on showing students the difference between getting ChatGPT to give you a reading, a summary of a reading, and doing the reading yourself. It's kind of elaborate, so I can't go into, I don't want to go into it here, but I have slides, so.
I would appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, this goes back to rethinking the assignments we make, right? The assignments we ask them to do, because that's at the bottom of it. What are we really after? Otherwise, 95% of it could be GPT.
Yep. Yep. I think the students really want to learn. I do believe that. And so if you give them a custom tool and you tell them it will support their learning, and you make sure that your class, as we all do, is accessible and your deadlines are up, doable, right? You don't put so much pressure on them that it sends them to a tool out of desperation, which none of us do. So as long as they know that we're there to support them, the class is there for their learning, the tools are designed for them, I think it can prevent the worst.
Yeah, just listening to you right now, I feel like, get out of the policing part, right?
Yeah.
Keep stepping back and then rethink, what really is at the core.
Right. And I mean, I do tell students, I do not want them to use ChatGPT to write their essays. I don't want to read it. I don't think their classmates want to read it. So I'm not policing them exactly, but I have set up the class in a way that really moves their behavior away from using it. So, I can't control everything, but I can design a class that says we're going to write in class, we're going to generate ideas, we're going to read each other's essays. So you're not going to want to ChatGPT an essay that your classmates are reading. I'm doing a lot of things to try to help them see the importance of doing their own writing. It's a writing class. I think that's important. Can't control it all, and I'm not trying to police them. I also really explain the rationale for why I'm saying don't let this tool write your essays for you. If that's not obvious, it should be, but it may not be. I explain why, how important writing is to thinking and writing is to their professional success eventually, all of that. Make the case for why they shouldn't use it when they shouldn't.
Thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, I'd like to see that slide that you were talking about, showing, when they do it themselves and
I will pull
when the
that
robot
out.
does.
See if I can find that. They're a little bit messy because I did it, with folks in a brown bag. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I'll just send you the article that I got it from. It's a short, like how to do. That'll be better.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, because my class is a culminating culminating experience. So it's a different thing than, a writing class. So
Great.
That's a struggle.
Yeah. And they have more maturity too. So they have a little more self-regulation when it comes to managing their learning. So that's good also. Works in your favor.
I think Samir wants to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Samir.
Yeah, so going back to custom GPTs, so the ones we have put together and just sort of tried to use in different situations, one of the things I've noticed is it really depends on your subject domain, the level of accuracy you're going to get from this. And of course, hence the customization. And initially, it'll ask you a whole bunch of questions and you kind of, put it into a little pocket there. But, between the customize and create tabs, when you go to the customize tab, there's a whole set of other sort of fine-tuned things. And then there is a thing where you can upload files, right? The quote unquote knowledge base. That's really where you can really, kind of tighten the screws, because there's so many instances where, of course, with great level of confidence, this thing is going to tell you stuff that is wrong. And of course, I knew it was wrong. And then, of course, I go and badger it and I say, no, you're lying to me and all of that stuff. And no, of course, you're right. I'm sorry. We can't afford to have that stuff in our classroom and, have something that, apologizes after the fact. If it is caught, of course, it's not lying. It's just a machine. It's just throwing words at us. But so that's the part where I found that by going into that knowledge section there and putting a lot of, typically PDFs and such, that really helps to, really fine tune its focus. Otherwise, it just goes all over the place.
Garbage in, garbage out remains really true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the more the prompting, the better the output. Even still, it can be really challenging. Appreciate this conversation. Zhaoshuo, have we brought everyone back?
Yes, yes, we
Okay.
have everyone back in the main room.
Okay,
We
thank
can
you.
do a share out. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to hear a takeaway from each breakout room. I think we could start with, I think, Brian, most folks were in the main room with yours.
Yeah, I was the only one in the breakout room until
Okay, we had a lot of difficulty. Sorry about that.
that's okay.
Anyone from Amy's group want to share out?
Well, I think I was the only person in Amy's group, so I'll have to share out. Amy helped me a great deal. So I'm very new to this idea of building a custom GPT, and Amy kind of walked me through the basics of it, and what you can do to co-create with this GPT with your students, which I'm actually looking forward to trying to do. I teach a discrete structures class in the computer science department, and so I'm looking to have my class help build something that we'll use for the remainder of this semester to help them learn a little bit deeper some of the connections between the material I'm teaching. It's a 200 level class and the actual applications of what they're learning in computer science. And it was really great. I mean, Amy was very good at showing what the capabilities were of the of how you could prompt your custom GPT to actually focus on the kind of things you want done. So I learned a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mark. Nice to meet you, and thank you for being here. I would agree with you that the custom GPT was a breakthrough for me, and the first time I kind of felt hopeful since the release of it, that maybe there's a way to bring this into the classroom in a way that is ethical and good for our students.
Jennifer, I was with Mark and Amy for a little while, and I think it's important to also highlight the student feedback from the co-creation process. So when you get students to create the custom GPT with you, there's some interesting feedback. So maybe, Amy, you can summarize what your students are saying, and this will help others who are just starting off not be surprised.
Yes, yeah, sure. So my students who are using the custom GPT that we built together are, using it in a variety of ways. Some are using it to brainstorm because they just hate facing a blank page and they feel like they have writer's block, and it's just really been helpful for them to, not only get started, but also understand more about like the assignments, because I can clearly break down the assignments and, give them kind of more of a scaffolded approach to starting to write when drafting is intimidating. So instead of going straight to the open model ChatGPT and saying, draft this for me, they're going into the custom GPT and saying, well, help me figure out how I might approach drafting this assignment. So a lot of them, I try to create as clear of assignment instructions as I can, but I know that some of them are going to be, taking some of it and then not maybe all of it. And so hitting all those assignment criteria when it's kind of a complex project is something that they've been able to use the custom GPT to help them with. And then on the other end of it, since it's not really allowed to draft for students, although it can provide a model of like the findings section and what APA format looks like with the citations. On the other end of it, they can use it to revise and polish, which I think really helps, especially with students for whom English is not their first language, and international students who feel a bit less confident in their writing skills in English, and they can use it to still go through the process of doing their own drafting, but also feel like they have a bit more one-on-one sort of hands-on feedback and guidance, which my course caps just got raised, so it's really much more challenging for me to do that with all of my students, that they just have that kind of help and feedback when it comes to revision. So that's been some of the responses that I have read about so far, and I'm just really happy with it. I haven't had any negative responses yet, so that's also a plus. Thank you, Zhaoshuo.
The interesting thing about the co-creation is that the ethical prompts that I'm sharing with folks, there's like 5 ethical prompt domains to keep your custom GPT for students, to keep it ethical and to keep it safe and to make it actually scaffolded. That is really a kind of prompt engineering, right? Eventually, we want students to be able to prompt it in a way that it will give them output that is actually good for their thinking and their writing and their learning or their performance at work, and doesn't create work slop or what have you. So I think that co-creation is really useful for that, like helping them see what we're doing to create a GPT response that is actually what we want, as opposed to just getting the slop. I think I might have skipped Yiwen. Did I skip something? Yeah, could we get a share out?
Oh, I can share. I
Thank you,
was
Jenny.
breakout room. I think it's very helpful. Yeah, even guided us step by step how to create this customized GPT, you know, through the configure, some examples of the, you know, conversation starters, for example, the syllabus, right? Explain and upload the file and add more like instructions, something like that. And yeah, we followed her like step by step. I did my preparation. I think I'm ready to try it in my class.
That's fantastic to hear. We'll look forward to hearing back from you and how it goes. Do we have a share out from Viva's breakout room?
I can share.
No, thank you, Carrie.
Sure. Yeah, there were a few of us in there, and it was I found Aviva's kind of continued presentation to us. She did us gave us a walkthrough of her custom built GPT that she's developed for her GWAR class, and it was so helpful just to be walked through the initial process, but then to hear how it unfolds during that first semester, all of the different iterations that it goes through and the different places you can look for feedback. And Aviva, I felt so much better prepared and so kind of heartened. It really made it seem accessible. And I feel like there were a lot of cool tips and tricks, and it would be great for us to kind of capture and distribute to everyone, maybe a list of those tips and tricks. So thank you.
Fantastic. We got to add those to the quick start guide maybe. Aviva, we can work on that. Let me think. Is it Samir who's next? Would anyone like to share a takeaway?
Samir had to run to class, and Samir didn't have anybody in his breakout room, so I sent him over to Zhaoshuo and Zhuwei, and I think there was a little more technical exchange there. So maybe somebody from Zhuwei's breakout room can summarize.
I can briefly talk about. So for our room, I think I first demoed our fully customized self-developed system, but I still got a lot of questions regarding the technical perspective. How do you achieve that? What if you can do something else? I think which means bringing another thing about this. I think our system is still lack of transparency, even though we designed for improved transparency. So another thing is based on the audience feedback. For example, have you ever tried to compare if the system actually can improve the student outcomes? So although we are just start pilot this platform in this semester, I think based on the questions, I think the platform will have a lot of potentials. We will continue to refine and bring faculty as well as students ideas in this design, in this co-design.
Thank you, Zhuwei, very much. Would anyone like to say one more last word or pose a question before we wrap up?
I would like to say thank you for this very informative section. So by listening to everyone's presentation, I feel like, wow, this is a huge scope, like from individual classes, one small assignment, to the whole system that built by our computer science folks. So I'm looking forward to more section like this, which is very educational. And also I feel like we are building a learning community here as well. Everyone is so kindness to share what you have done, what you have achieved. And I also feel like we are also very honest about the feedback, the challenges that we experience. So that really helps everyone on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That's a beautiful summary. I'll wrap us up really quickly by just saying a few things. One is that I know that there were people getting onto the custom GPTs before I did, Brian, for one, but then I found them and started thinking about how much this might help. And I barely mentioned the words to people like Aviva and Amy and some other folks and the amazing things that they were able to create for their students. So we really do have an amazing community of faculty on this campus. And I feel like we are addressing some of the hardest challenges with this tool or whatever we're calling it right now. So I really appreciate everyone's contribution. Zhaoshuo mentioned at the beginning that our beginning point at CETL for custom GPTs really was about student safety. And I encourage you all to keep that at the forefront of your minds as you create these tools for your students. Students want a safer experience. They want an experience that protects their learning and scaffolds their learning, and they don't want to become addicted to AI or have it give them false information or lead them down a rabbit hole. So I think the Quick Start Guide has those ethical domains of those are sort of your bedrock prompts. If you're creating a custom GPT, you can customize them as you wish, obviously, but to keep those things in mind to help students have a safe experience with this tool is really important. So I just wanted to end on that note because that is where we started with this. And I think that's what brought us all here is creating a learningful experience for students that engages them in good ways. And that's the challenge.
Thank you, Jennifer, for leading us. And just some housekeeping details. I wanted you to save this page. It's on our CETL website. This is where we're building out a repository of all the custom GPT stuff. You're going to see all the videos posted here. All of the resources. Jennifer's Quick Start Guide is already here. Brian's video is here. Ethan Cortez's video is here. So you'll see everything getting posted on this page. So you don't have to go looking for different things. Thank you so much for joining.